lighting yet, just because I have a rinky-dink little thing going on here. And before you ask, no, I'm not captured in someone's basement. This is just the unfinished basement I'm in. That's where I live. Simultaneously, I understand Macaulay Culkin. It's pretty scary down here as a kid. Now, today, if this would be the second video if you've only looked at my YouTube. It'd be the third video on forearms, that you would know if you'd been on my Instagram. So for today's video, I'm gonna go through my updated routine, and it's just kind of updated in the sense that I'm trying to push for pull-ups, right? So I'm gonna try. This is, footage is like on the 16th, so I'm gonna try to learn how to edit using this new software, just because it's kind of a bit difficult, to be honest. Now, what I usually do is I've got a few things that I'll kind of bring over here for you. Set this down. So this is a little gold gym little trainer thing. And what I'll do with it is I'll do reps of 30 on each hand. And then at the end of it, I'll hold it for 20 seconds. Now this is an adjustable one. Usually I'm just used to looking at it here, but that was really the best vantage point. You could probably put it where it'd stay. But then I hold it for about 20 seconds. And I do that 3 times, right? And the goal is, since it's adjustable, that I work my way up, and even now I'm already pretty sufficient with the current one. It depends on how I hold my hand. So if I hold it this one for one of those pull-up bars, like the gravity machine ones, where they're always angled and shit, I tend to do pretty well. It's a little more difficult, but it's really more of a superset situation, because I go reps, hold, and then hand it all over to the other hand and do the same, 3 sets, right? Then next, what I do is, sorry, I'm gonna have to, god damn this mouse, I need a mouse pad down here, stat. Oh, Lord. Hopefully I can cut this shit out. Ugh, god, I am there's 5 tries before that because of my goddamn mouse. Alright, cut. Alright. Now here I take this. Usually I do band work at the moment, just because it's easiest to do at home on a regular basis. I have a few other bands. I have certain things I've made at home that are pretty resistant, that I can use to do, training for, curls, usually like this. Though it's really hard, sometimes I have to really feel it out, because otherwise I might just start doing this. And so what I do for this usually is, I'll just stand up. Like any band work, you gotta realize that for a band to really be at its maximum tension, you have to have it really stretched. So stuff like that. And I'll do stuff like this. This one I have to feel out, because it's not like I'm holding a bar or anything. But I do have a bar I can use to help that part out. So I usually do curls like this. This one, depending on how I'm feeling that day, if I'm feeling spicy, do reps of holding, or just more reps on other days. I know the lighting is obnoxious here, but bear with me. Bear with me, please. I know the microphone work is a little sketchy, but I don't really have a clip-on mic. I'm looking right there at the mic. I don't have a clip-on mic. Next, what I do is I have a dumbbell. You might have just seen that appear thanks to editing. Now, for this, I know I'm getting real far away from the mic, because the whole point of because you can do curls and shit, but I get real kind of wide with it and do this sometimes. But mainly what I always do is a pronated curl, right? Because the purpose of that muscle is very important to pull-ups. So that's 15 pounds. If you haven't, yeah. Here, why don't I just sit down there for this part? You'd just be looking at my awesome shirt. So the purpose of because there's a few arms in your, a few arms, a few, kind of important muscles to gripping. So I'll turn this into a little, chat about prehistoric anatomy of chimps and monkeys and sorts. So if you didn't know, humans at one point in our earliest lineages before Homo erectus were creatures that lived in the trees, similar to chimpanzees, monkeys, and sorts. And at some point, here's why that's important. Why a lot of apes will have, and chimps will have, and monkeys will have. Oh boy, opposable thumbs. It's because gripping. You have to grip on so that you can hang in the trees. It's not like we can fly or anything. And even like certain insects will have shorter. I can't remember, but leg size and distance is very important for animals and insects that live in trees that can't fly. Right? Stick bugs, beetles, all sorts of stuff. So for like mammals, and specifically monkeys and apes, we have the opposable thumbs to grip overhand and underhand, so that we're able to grip, a bar or a branch in this case. So, it was important that the opposable thumb can hook underneath, right? So obviously that transferred down into the modern man, since we still have a lot of that anatomy, right? So that's essentially kind of what a pull-up is something, that kind of like tests this strength we haven't used for quite some time. You know, so, when we do a pull-up, it's important, thank you, XSplit, I don't know what you're doing. So it's important when we do a pull-up that we have developed, gripping strength. Because otherwise, if you're not able to hold yourself up, then how the hell are you even supposed to, use your lats to pull up? You see? But what's important is, especially if you do an overhand grip, what you do, this muscle, it goes from like, if it's like from here, or sorry, from here down here, and helps turn your hand, right? That, I believe, it's either the brachioradialis or the radial brachia, or brachioradialis. I can never remember. I think it's brachioradialis because it, originates in here where like your humerus and brachial muscles are, and goes down to your radius. Usually, I imagine that's how it works. Because insertion moves to origin, whatever. You're not in anatomy. I don't expect you to really pay too much attention to all this mumbo jumbo, because at the end of the day, I'm talking about pull-ups, aren't I? So, now granted, it's easy to do a pull-up just because you're not using that part of your body. However, if you're doing a or chin-up, sorry, if you're doing a pull-up, it's very important, because it's that mechanism that helps you, maintain the pull-up, right? So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut here to me doing, kind of showing what progress I've made so far. Now you'll see, that my legs are far out apart in that particular set. Usually I do for 8. It depends. So yeah, I'm a little bit out of breath. So, when I usually do that, when I started, my knees were a little closer to my body, and I'll show you just a moment. Yeah, my knees tended to be a little closer to my body. because I couldn't do as many of them. So yeah, that's kind of like where I started. So let's jump cut back to me. Um, sitting in my proper place. Now you might be wondering, why are you in a different shirt now? In fact, a tank top with the Peloton logo. That's because this video was a sponsor for Peloton. No, no, not really. Here, let me get my glasses on. Sorry. I take them off usually for exercise. I know I probably should get contacts at some point because I have astigmatism, which is like muscular dystrophy, but for your eyes. And you know, no, I actually just wear a tank top most times for upper body work. It just is much better for like comfortableness doing exercises, especially since a lot of upper body involves me moving around my arms quite a bit. So I usually put on like a t-shirt for the most part while doing leg day, just because like my shoulders and arm movement isn't as needed. But yeah, I just thrifted this. It's actually a pretty nice tank to be thrifted. So yeah, kind of like what I'm getting at is I've actually come a bit of the way. I remember when I'm usually at my gym, it's a Planet Fitness, and when I'm usually there, it's actually very easy now because I started at like the 175, like the highest amount you could take away from your weight. And I even got all the way down to 145. That's actually 2 steps up since the start of the winter, so that's pretty cool. My lats are quite a bit bigger. I didn't even notice that until I was back at the gym after winter. Well, it's still kind of going on, but yeah. So I didn't even notice how big they'd gotten. Sorry, masochist Mike. I did not mean that. So yeah, this is kind of what the video has been about, is me just kind of explaining what my routine is and how I'm, kind of just training for more pull-ups. Just because I'm going to, go into one more bit. And, personally, it's just, I've not been a very strong dude most of my life, if you couldn't tell. I'm actually rather chonky. I've been rather chonky for my most of my life. And feats of strength and endurance haven't quite been my thing for most of my teens. So what I'm kind of doing now that I've built up and cultivated a bunch of strength is adding calisthenics into my routine, just certain ones. I think calisthenic squats are full of shit. It's literally add weight to that, or it's just rather easy personally. But, when I do, certain things, I want to do pull-ups, I want to do push-ups. When I finally make my own home gym, I'd like to do like iron crosses, get something I can do iron crosses on, or maybe, ditch the pull-up bar and get rings, because that'd be so fucking cool. So, calisthenics is something I'd like to mix in with my usual bodybuilding routine. Just because it's functional, it's adding functional strength to what you would normally do. So if you want to, check out or if you want me to make more fitness related videos, like things on diet or like, other exercises I do, let me know. Because even if, a lot of my knowledge is more from outside sources like Athlete X or other YouTube channels like Jujimufu or Jackblade. I'd suggest you also check them out as well if you have never heard of them and you're somehow watching my small ass channel. So yeah, have a good one.